Good evening, everyone, and welcome. We are going to hand the mic over to our interpreter, Luis Gomez, so he can explain our Spanish translation services before we get started.
Perfect. Thank you so much. Good evening. Thank you for having me. So we have made a commitment towards language justice so that everyone is able to participate, to listen all in the same way, and to be able to do so in the language of their heart, the language that they speak with their families. So once we activate the simultaneous interpretation feature on Zoom, you'll see a small globe appear next to your reactions option on the bottom right hand of your screen. Right there, you'll be able to select whether you wish to participate in English or in Spanish. Muy buenas noches a todos. Mi nombre es Luis Gómez, seré el intérprete de esta noche. Tenemos un compromiso hacia la justicia lingüística para todos poder participar, escuchar de la misma manera y poder hacerlo en el idioma de nuestro corazón, el que hablamos con nuestras familias. Ya que activemos la función a través de Zoom, verá un pequeño globo terráqueo, la imagen de un mundo, aparecer en la parte de la derecha de abajo de su pantalla. Ahí podrá seleccionar si desea participar en inglés o en español. También voy a incluir algunas instrucciones a través del chat. Si tienen preguntas, nos podemos comunicar por ahí, y también si tienen cualquier problema me pueden mandar un mensaje. Estas son las instrucciones. Now I'm adding some instructions via the chat about the instructions I just shared, just so that we have them on there. If you guys have any questions or issues, we can communicate via the chat. So now we can go ahead and activate the interpretation feature. I'll test that both channels are working and we'll be good to go. Ahora aquí vamos a activar la interpretación, vamos a verificar que ambos canales funcionen y continuaremos. Aquí vamos.
Okay. Luis, everything look good on your end? All right. We are going to go ahead and get started. Welcome, everybody. I'm so glad that you're able to join us. My name is Frances Williams. I'm the Business Pathways Manager at Mi Casa Resource Center. We're going to get started here shortly. I want to first start off by thanking all of the speakers tonight. We have some incredible lineup from some amazing organizations that are represented here on this slide. So welcome. Want to get started with a little bit of guidelines very quickly so that you understand, we are using Zoom for our technology of a virtual webinar tonight. We encourage you to participate and be active in this presentation. So use your chat function. Let the speakers know that you support them and that and what your opinions are of their messages. But we do ask you to mute your microphone. We just want to keep background noise to a minimum. But again, use your chat. You're encouraged to be active, ask questions, and make comments. But this in this webinar tonight is being recorded, and we are also broadcasting live on Facebook. So if you do not wish to have your image shared on either of those mediums, then please just turn off your video camera. But let us know if you have any trouble along the way. I'm going to now introduce you to Denise Earhart. She is the Director of Business Pathways at Mi Casa Resource Center. Denise?
Thanks so much, Frances. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to tonight's 2021 construction forecast for small business. My name is Denise Earhart, and I am the Director of Business Pathways and host of the SBA's Women's Business Center. Mi Casa is an inclusive organization that also supports minority-owned, women-owned businesses through all stages of their entrepreneurial journey by helping them explore, launch, and grow their business through our bilingual consulting and training. So today we provide business training classes virtually. In fact, we had a cohort start last Monday, and another class begins on Tuesday, the 19th. Specifically for those individuals that are looking to learn the basics of getting their business off the ground. We meet the needs of the small business community virtually and hope in the very near future to be able to return to our building and greet small business owners in person. As for the menu of services, we provide no-cost business consulting, monthly workshops ranging from a variety of topics from accounting, marketing, to state and local certification processes, and two other programs that I think make Mi Casa Resource Center incredibly unique is our ProboPat program and our navigation services. So for ProboPat, we connect low-income inventors with patent legal practitioners for patent preparation. So if you have something that you're working with specific to your industry or any industry, we are happy to partner you with a legal practitioner that can walk you through the patent preparation process. As for navigation, we look at Colorado small business owners holistically and work as a team to remove barriers to success, from access to technology and any other needs. But why you came today is why we are here. We all know that U.S. small businesses have been disproportionately affected by the health pandemic. And I'm proud to share that Mi Casa Resource Center has been there to support them every step of the way. The current climate has pushed many out of their comfort zone, and many are looking within themselves and around themselves to find the answers to weather this storm. We're not out of the woods yet. I do see that the sun will shine tomorrow, but for tonight, we have been working in collaboration with J.E. Dunn, Associated General Contractors, Work Now, the Master's Apprentice, and the Hispanic Contractors of Colorado to bring a panel of speakers to provide insight into the climate, into the construction climate, and a peek into what business owners can expect in 2021. So to shepherd us through tonight's discussion, we have Michael Gifford, President and CEO for the state's leading construction association, the Association of General Contractors of Colorado. Michael has over 25 years of experience in advocacy, economic development, government affairs, and association management. And through strategy and effective coalition development, Michael has been fortunate to have many advocacy wins for the construction industry, including large infrastructure funding packages for public roads and buildings, major workforce development bills, including SHOP Act and Work Act, and changes to the state's housing policy. So without further ado, I would like to turn it over to Michael Gifford.
Good evening, and thank you, Denise and Francis, for inviting AGC to be part of this presentation and this panel this evening. AGC is a commercial construction association, so we work every day with commercial general contractors, specialty contractors, and suppliers such as yourselves. And I know some of you work in the residential arena as well. And I'm glad to be here tonight to work with our great panel. And I would like each of them to introduce themselves briefly, maybe starting with Mel Jones.
Good afternoon, everyone. Mel Jones. I am what I call an inclusion specialist for J.E. Dunn Construction. Looking forward to sharing a lot of stuff with you all a little bit later. I'm actually in Portland, so where Denise says it looks like the sun is going to come up tomorrow, it will not here in Portland. So I'll talk with you all a little bit later.
Thank you, Mel. And humor is appreciated commodity right now. And next, Danny Martinez.
Hi, buenas noches. Welcome, everybody. Danny Martinez, CEO of Apex Business Consulting. Look forward to working with you all and meeting you all in person one of these days.
And by the way, thank you, Danny. And while we're doing intros, I'm glad to see everyone putting their company name and contact information, what they do in the chat. That's good networking that's taking place while we're all working together. Next is Katrina Wirt.
Hi, good evening, everyone. My name is Katrina Wirt. I work at Community College of Denver, which supports the Workforce Partnership Work Now. We're a coalition of organizations helping contractors and communities work together. And we're excited to share some of our resources this evening to help your employees and also to help your businesses hire and train new workers.
Thank you, Katrina. And next is Nick Bratton.
Hello, everybody. Thanks for making time this evening. There's a great group of folks out there, so we're excited for this panel. I'm the Director of Development for the Master's Apprentice Program. We are a pre-apprenticeship construction training program helping to serve workforce development needs for construction companies. I'll say a lot more about this in my section later on tonight, but glad to meet you all and welcome.
Thank you, Nick. And you and I are kind of suite mates almost. I can look out the window at your program at the Construction Industry Training Council. So good to see you this evening. And last but certainly not least, Chris Martinez.
Thank you, Mike, and thank you, Mikasa, for having us. Chris Martinez, with the Executive Director with Hispanic Contractors of Colorado, which is really primarily an organization, trade association of construction, made up of minority women-owned construction firms. And our claim is really to try to build networking opportunities for our smaller businesses with larger general contractors and public entities.
All right, thank you, Chris. And you and I are kind of suite mates on the same floor, if you will. So even closer than Nick. And and so now going into our panelists, we are actually going to start with Chris. And he is been a great colleague and friend of mine in representing the construction industry over many years. And he is going to give us a legislative update. So Chris, I'm going to turn it right back over to you for your presentation.
Thank you again. I appreciate it. And I appreciate all the folks joining tonight. I've gone through the list a little bit and recognized several of the names. And we're happy you took the time this evening to join us. The legislative update, it's really important. I think it's one of those topics that many small businesses do not pay attention to and probably should be. The issue is primarily because small businesses are really working hard in their businesses and keeping their businesses going. To look into legislative issues is sometimes usually a passion or something of interest for an individual to do so. But I would encourage you to really think about making that a priority for yourself and your company going forward. And there are many ways to do that. And I'm going to talk about some of the things that are going on in the legislative and how you can get involved or get information on legislative issues. I really think it's important for small businesses to be paying attention to what is going on in the state legislature as well as in the national level, because many times bills are going through there that have a profound effect on small businesses, and your voices need to be heard. If your voice is not heard, then the legislators make decisions based off of what they think they know, or those who are at the Capitol lobbying on behalf of other interest groups, and sometimes leaving small businesses out. Hispanic contractors have spent a lot of time this past year in doing just that, trying to lobby on behalf of small businesses and making sure that we are involved in that legislative process and the small businesses' voices are heard. Not only is our trade association doing that, but many others, such as Michael Gifford's AGC and some of the other trade associations. And that's a good way for folks who do not have the personal time to get involved in legislative issues is to follow through a trade association. Look them up, find out which ones have committees that are working and do that. What you don't want to be is caught off guard by new legislation that is being passed either on the state or federal level that truly affects small businesses. And there are a couple of things that come to my mind that went into effect January 1st. The small businesses may not be aware of, and that is equal pay. It's the gender equity bill. And that is basically saying when you have positions, you have a male and a female doing the exact same work, really no overall experience level difference, they should be paid equally, not one more than the other. And that is really important because I think in construction world, historically, males have all made more than females in doing the same job. So this law was passed and put into effect January 1, 2021. And you should be aware of that so that you don't get caught and no one files a claim on you. Another bill that went into effect January 1 was a family leave bill. It's known as Senate Bill 2205, Healthy Family and Workplace Act. And as I said, it was effective January 1, 2021. It is for employers that have more than 16 employees. And what it's basically saying, each employee is now earning for every 30 hours of work, 1 hour of paid leave that has to be given to them. So there's a cumulative amount for at the end of each year that each employee should have on paid leave. We know a lot of businesses already do this. Some may do more, some may do less. This was making sure that everybody gave the minimum that was mandated by the state. I want to make sure you're aware of that. There's also, since we're in a pandemic with COVID-19, there was some legislation passed that increased the amount of paid leave if you were exposed or you had COVID-19. And the small businesses were not exempt from this starting January 2021, and want to make sure small businesses are aware of that coming up. The other thing that I would say is that we recommend to small businesses, if you are not aware of these rules because you're a small shop and you are your own HR department, is possibly talking to some HR consultants. There are some resources out there.
Yeah,
for
claim
HR.
contact, and they're like, okay,
Rashad,
everyone
we
will.
can hear you.
Oh, I'm so sorry about that.
You're fine. But as I was saying, check with some HR consultants or other resource centers that offer some human resource classes or updates on those. Or if you're part of a trade association, ask them for that information. And they could give it to you in a summary format that could help you in your business and know whether you're in compliance or not. Some of the things that I want to mention that are important coming in the 2021 state legislative session, which by the way does start tomorrow. However, they will go into recess for 1 month. So they actually will not start until in February. But I understand some of the issues that they will be bringing up that do affect small businesses are topics like healthcare and wanting to make sure folks have access to affordable healthcare, especially communities of color that have been disproportionately affected by COVID-19. We don't know what that's going to look like, but I would guess that we have to pay for that. And I don't know what small businesses, the effect on small businesses that will be. I would say that if you don't have healthcare benefits, you want to make sure you're paying attention to this as it goes through the legislature and contacting your legislators on your concerns or support for these. There'll be more worker protections. I know that this is a topic that folks have been talking about this past year. All that was put on hold because of COVID. So they'll be back on the drawing board again with worker protections. Housing, inclusionary zoning. This is an interesting one because I think the benefit to the construction world is obviously the development, but for employers is trying to make sure employees have access to affordable housing within our communities. So there will be some rules put in place possibly to require any new developments have certain number of units in the affordable category for workers and others to be able to access housing within the metropolitan area or in the state. Immigration is going to be another one, especially for construction firms. A lot of employees don't want to give out information for fear that employers have to turn that information over to the federal government or other agencies. I believe there'll be some legislation passed this year addressing some of those issues and limiting the requirements that employers will have to give out on their employees. I know that as small businesses, we work very hard in keeping our doors open, and it's very difficult to get involved in lobbying on these legislative issues. That's why I really firmly believe in trying to find that networking group that can help you, whether it's a trade association or others, unions, groups, other associations that can help you with that lobbying effort with your legislator. And also just contact your own local legislator, state representative, state senator, and have a dialogue with them on issues in your small business. The more they understand what small businesses are going through, the more beneficial it's going to be for you in the long run. On the local level, I was going to mention that cities and counties, many of them are putting packages together to help with relief funding, to help small businesses. And hopefully you have already been aware of that or have contacted your local municipality or county. And many times it's lowering your tax rates or even a low interest rate, and sometimes grants for small businesses to help them through this time. Speaking of COVID-19, I really strongly encourage you to make sure you are following the COVID-19 legislative guidelines that have been put in place by the governor to keep your business open. That helps all the construction industry when we are all doing it. And then we want to make sure everybody's encouraged in doing that. If you haven't found those, please let me know, let us know, and we could get those guidelines out to you. On the federal level, Danny's going to talk more about the PPE loans and things, but things that I would encourage you to be on the lookout for and contact your federal folks, legislators or Congress folks, is on a possible infrastructure bill that could come through Congress this spring, other resources that could come through Congress that will help small businesses. We certainly want those things and we want to encourage them. We want to make sure small businesses have access to them, especially those who have been at the disadvantage of the lower end of the totem pole and not getting that information. We want to make sure that all of our small businesses are. So there are great resources out there. Encourage you to follow with any of the trade associations and can help you navigate through some of them. Topic that will be very important in 2021 is going to be diversity, equity, and inclusion, especially in the workplace. And if that's something you have not addressed as a small business, you should consider addressing that in 2021. As we know, racial justice issues have become very much more in the front lines today, and they do transfer over into our workplaces. As small businesses, we're going to be held obligated to those same standards as large businesses as well. I know that was a lot of information in 10 minutes, but please put something in the chat room if you want some more information, or if you need to have a one-on-one with any one of us. Thank you.
Right, thank you, Chris. And I will say, first of all, excellent report on the landscape and the outlook for Colorado and in the nation. I'll just underscore one thing. The legislature in general has been looking at more protections for employees, more help for employees, and that's not a bad thing. But as the employer, you have to keep up with all of that. So being attached to a trade association or a group that can help you with your human resource area and your employment law is critical. So make sure you have someone who's your go-to expert that can help you with that. And if it's with a trade association, they're going to keep you informed on all the other things that Chris talked about as well. So that's an awesome report. And Chris, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Chris did mention that Danny Martinez now is going to share with us about funding and the PPP program and possibly others. And I'd like to turn it over to Danny.
Thank you, Mike. Good job, Chris. Thank you. Buenas noches, everybody. Good evening. I see a lot of familiar faces and some new faces, so welcome. We look forward to working with you all in the near future. Over the past few years, I've worked very closely with Hispanic contractors of Colorado and helping them recruit and retain new members for their organization. With Mi Casa Resource Center as a construction consultant, working with the small business community, offering consulting services, as well as J. Dunn Construction, vetting subcontractors to assure they are ready and capable of doing business with a large prime. Throughout the years, I have kept my finger on the pulse of the construction industry and an open ear to the small business community. I've witnessed many successes and many failures throughout the years. The common denominator for a lot of the failures is cash flow and access to cash and access to capital. As small businesses tried to weather the storm of the pandemic, many fell prey to the pandemic because one, they did not have an emergency fund in place to keep them afloat. Two, they did not have access to capital to help them weather the storm. And three, businesses did not know how to adapt to the new way of doing business. Honestly, no one could have predicted the disruption that the pandemic has caused. In order to combat this, the federal government had no choice but to step up to the plate and try to stabilize the economy. On April 3rd, 2020, the federal government injected $349 billion into the economy to be managed by the SBA and distributed through banks, credit unions, and other lenders. In just 2 weeks, all the money was exhausted. The PPP program was again infused with another $310 billion on April 27, 2020. The money was readily available. Unfortunately, the federal government did not do a good job in outlining what would be considered a loan versus a grant. So the buzzword at that time was forgiveness. Everybody's like, all right, what am I going to get forgiven for if I take this money out? Initially, the loan was to be specified for retaining employees and paying overhead. Unfortunately, this caused a lot of confusion for the small business community on how to distribute the money throughout their company. Therefore, a lot of the businesses returned the money, which left a balance of about $134 billion. We're talking billions of dollars, people. There's a lot of money out there. So currently, there's a second wave of funding that has come down the pipeline that was approved in late December. This round consisted of $284 billion. There's a maximum second loan amount of $2 million for most businesses at 2.5 times their average monthly payroll cost. For those businesses who are taking the PPP loan for the second time, will have to work with two different forgiveness rules. However, this time around, the PPP money is now tax deductible. So this is a win. So the tax cost that was going to be so damaging to so many businesses on the first round of PPP loans has now been removed. Businesses are now required to use the full amount of the first loan before they could become eligible for the second round of funding. In the second round of funding for businesses, can now use the money for workers' compensation, worker protection cost, equipment for government mandated sanitation and social distancing, property damage due to any public disturbances, and various software and cloud computing expenses. The deadline for taking advantage of the money is March 31st, 2020. PPP isn't the only loan program tied to the pandemic that is impacted by the COVID-19 relief bill. The deadline for the businesses to apply for the SBA's Economic Injury Disaster Loan Program for the Pandemic Disaster Declaration was extended to December 31st, 2020. As part of the package, to date, the SBA has approved $197 billion in these low interest loans, which provide working capital to small businesses, nonprofits, agricultural businesses, including nonprofit organizations, sole proprietors, and independent contractors. Unlike the PPP, the EIDL loan is a non-forgivable loan program. Loans are offered at a 3.75% interest rate for small businesses. The loans have a 30-year maturity and an automatic deferment of 1 year before monthly payments begins. Okay. There are also some local assistance programs you can explore. For example, the city of Denver just released a call for applications for the Small Business Emergency Relief Fund, which is providing an additional round of business stabilization grants geared to support many of Denver's most vulnerable businesses. The application is due on January the 26th. You can visit denvergov.org for more information. The takeaway here is, one, to complete the forgiveness application and or take advantage of the current funding opportunities that are appropriate for you and your business. Two, analyze your revenue by quarter and see if you had any quarters in 2020 that had a revenue decrease of 25% or more compared to 2019 numbers. And three, monitor every dollar spent and keep an accurate record of how you are tracking this money. I would highly recommend consulting with an CPA in order to get your finances in line. And be prepared to justify any and all spending of this PPP loan money or EIDL loan money. Fortunately, the construction industry hasn't experienced the same kind of impacts that other industries have seen due to COVID. The construction industry has always been the stabilizer for the US economy. And we all know that the small business is the backbone of our US economy. Therefore, it is imperative for us to continue to share and support one another going forward. So let's remain proactive to ensure we do what we can to bounce back and take advantage of the funding opportunities available. I know we are not out of the woods just yet. However, I'm very optimistic as to the future, as to what the future holds. Please know that Mikasa Resource Center is here to support you. We offer consulting services and training opportunities that get to the heart of your needs. So please stay connected with us and look forward to future communications on support. So thank you for that. Stay diligent, and we're going to weather the storm and get through this together. So thank you. Back to you, Mike.
Thank you, Danny. That another excellent report, a lot of very good information in a short period of time. You already answered the question, what do we do if we need some help, to contact your office, you personally or Mikasa, for help in that area. But you started out by saying cash flow is queen or king of our business. Yeah. It is. Yeah.
Yes.
Very much is. I heard it described once. Profit is like food. You can go for a while without food, but cash to a construction company is like oxygen. You can last about a minute.
Yeah,
so
right.
What you just were talking about is the oxygen of construction, and I encourage everyone to follow their notes and follow up with Danny if you have any questions, unless we're supposed to answer any right now, but I think we're saving those to the end. So, but with that, I think we might be going to an audience poll. I don't know if I see that or not on my screen, but I think we may be doing that while we move to our next topic. I certainly look forward to the poll results. I love these. And I think that's going to be going on while I introduce our next speaker. But
That's right, Mike. So everybody on the Zoom call should now see our very first of 3 polls that's being launched tonight. We would love to have your feedback. Your answers are anonymous, but please let us know. Like, there's just 3 quick questions in this one. We'll leave it open for about 2 minutes. Give us your answers, and then Mike, if you want to go ahead and introduce, Mel while we get these get this poll going.
Absolutely. I already voted, by the way, so my poll is complete. But now it's my pleasure to turn over the time to Mel Jones. He introduced himself a little bit before, but he's going to give us an economic forecast for construction. I'm very excited for this part of the presentation. And so, Mel, I'd like to ask you to begin.
I just need screen sharing rights.
It looks like in the chat, Erica Martinez shared that the Denver Public Library also has some resources. So Erica, thank you for sharing that while Mel is setting up.
Oh, something went goofy. 1 second, folks, sorry. All right, maybe you should throw my poll question up there while I get my screen fixed.
All right, sounds good, Mel. So everybody, I've just stopped the very first poll, and thank you very much for your answers. I'm going to share the results here. We had 26 out of the 47 participants we have on the call tonight participate. So thank you so much. Again, all of your answers are anonymous, but this gives us some great feedback from you and our audience. We really wanted to know whether or not you took any loan money last year, if you plan on doing that this year, and what areas of support you need most. So as you can see, we've got a lot on the leadership management, workforce, human resources side. I can't wait for Katrina and Nick to tell us more about that. And then, yes, there's quite a number of you that are going to be looking at getting some new loan money. And again, if you need support in that, please let us know. Mikasa is happy to support you in those efforts. So I'm going to stop sharing that results, and I'm going to go. There's just one question right here, and this is something that that Mel has a question for you leading into his presentation. So again, your answers are anonymous. I'm going to give you about 60 seconds to reply. Please, what industry is projected to do the best in 2021? What are your answers? I feel like we need one of those like Jeopardy, music tones to help.
Definitely.
So Francis, while Mel is doing that, oh, it looks like he's got his screen ready to go from the beginning. I recognize that taskbar.
Yeah, but it's still showing you the wrong screen.
So while Mal's doing that, this is Chris Martinez, I will interject. One of the difficulties has been in COVID-19 year is learning how to do Zoom. And I would encourage small businesses who have not taken a Zoom class to do so, because it does help to know and understand when you're having to do presentations. We all end up in a situation what Mal just did. So I just wanted to, I've been there. And you still get there even when you practice and you do it a lot. But it's more helpful, at least if you're taking some classes, to understand what's going on. So I would encourage you to sign up to some virtual training, whether Zoom, Sky, other types of things. They're very helpful in your business.
And to add to that, Chris, you all may want to upgrade your speed or your connectivity with your internet provider, because that does have a huge impact in terms of the feedback you get, the voice as well as the video. So just an FYI.
All right, folks. Well, you know what? It's not going to let me put it in that screen that I want. So you can follow along good enough, right? We're not working with folks that can't see what's going on. So I just simply apologize.
No worries, Mel. Oh, there you go. There it is.
It's working now.
Well done. Third
It's
time
all
was the
working
charm.
now.
Yes.
Let's see if it actually advances.
Attaboy.
Seeing the stuff move
Attaboy.
forward and
There you
things
go.
going on.
Yeah,
All right.
I think it's good. And Mel,
Well-
I'm just going to share the results from your poll with everybody. So you
Perfect.
asked the question, what industry is projected to do the best in 2021? 17 out of the 32 respondents said commercial development, followed by advanced industries and then aviation.
Perfect. Thank you for those results. So what you're seeing flash up on the screen are pretty much things that have happened through most of this year. And kind of like me trying to get this screen to show properly in Zoom, it's been a cluster. And especially for our construction industry. So as you're seeing these things flash on the screen, I want to just say one quick story. And the story is quite simple. A person walks into a restaurant, sits down in front of the waitress and orders a piece of toast and 2 eggs. 1 egg scrambled, 1 egg sunny side up, simple piece of toast on wheat bread. He asks the waitress, "Do you have that?" She says, "Yes." "Repeat it back to me." She repeats it back to him. Piece of toast on wheat bread, 1 egg scrambled, 1 egg sunny side up. He says, "Great, thank you." She goes to the kitchen. Is very precise with delivering the order because she knows this person is kind of difficult. Comes back. The cook gives her the wonderful meal, walks it out to the table, sets it out in front of the person, lays out the presentation. Here you go. Your piece of toast, wheat toast. Here is your egg, 1 scrambled. Here is your other egg, 1 sunny side up. She gets ready to walk away. He says, "Miss, hold on 1 second." She turns around, looks, she goes, "What's the problem?" He says, "You scrambled the wrong egg." So no matter what I do in this presentation, somebody is going to scramble the wrong egg. So I will make sure you have my information at the end so we can follow up and try to clear up any discrepancies we have with this presentation, but let you know that I am not an expert on what's going on in the world. I'm just trying to share with you what we as JE Dunn see as the future and what we're going to try to prepare for. So what we're looking at, one of the things that we try to pay attention to, and I hope you all do, and as I touch on these things, I know there's going to be questions that pop up, but the ABI, or Architectural Building Index, is one of those key things that we in the construction industry love to pay attention to, as well as the banks and financial firms and all those out there. But there's a couple things in construction we pay attention to, and it's smart for you all to listen to as well. The simplest terms on breaking this down is when you walk into a meeting for architects that are about to design a building, and they are asking general contractors to show up and bid on the project, you can look around the room and find out how many other contractors are in the room to understand what the competition is like. If you walk in, the room is empty, you get a pretty good idea that, hey, there's not a lot of people chasing this. These are my opportunities, or the customer sucks. I don't know which one it is. You make up your mind. The other is we wait and watch and see what's going on. The other opportunity is you walk in and the room is packed with contractors. In those situations, you start to think, okay, what are my opportunities of winning this work? Who's there? Who's in the room? Why are there so many people chasing this project? We do the same thing when we look at what the architects are doing and what's going on in that industry and who's bringing up design plans and civil engineering concepts and what's looking like in the proposal stage of land use planning. When you start paying attention to some of those things and knowing what the architects are doing, it gives you a good forecast into what the future is going to look like for us in the construction industry. So this is one of those little snapshots that looks at some of the other things, and there's a gambit of things they look at to come and bring you this index, but that's just a simple way of that I try to present it to you all to understand what to look for. As you're seeing, the year kicked off pretty well, September of 19, and as we went into where COVID really kicked in, and you can see the decline, the large drop. And then as you can watch, as we moved into May, June, July, August, it steadily started to increase. This presentation, we kind of ran through it right before the election, so we haven't done any updates, but as you can see, it ramped up, but we're expecting it to also take a little turn down because of the events that have happened. But what this does tell us is the high that we saw beginning or the end of last year, or of 2019, we're just starting to get back to and start looking at what that's going to look like in this next year. But let me dive in a little bit deeper onto what some of that looks like. Because of everything that's happened, of course, everything has changed, right? What does the new norm look like? And that's what everybody's going to spend a lot of time trying to figure out. A couple things, again, these are some things specific to JE Dunn. And let me apologize for not giving you some information on JE Dunn in the beginning, but I'll make it quick. We are a 22 office company centered out of Kansas City, Missouri, and we have a revenue of right around $6 billion a year. So we're not the biggest, but we do some wonderful work in a lot of different areas. And one of the areas that we're looking to pay attention to is in these P3 deliveries. These were normally large football stadiums, convention centers, and structures of that sort, highways, roadways that I've participated in at many levels. As everything's changed this year with the loss of revenue for a lot of these businesses, especially for the states and these entities, you are going to see them open up the idea of having more P3 opportunities, which means looking for other third-party investors to come in and help them support some of these areas. That's something that we'll be paying attention to. You're going to see a lot more of that grow. You're going to see more prefabrication because of COVID. More people are going to be looking for opportunities to design and build off location, put these things together and ship them out and put them in place. There's going to be a continued shift in the way that we deliver, right? Our delivery methods are going to look to be a lot more clean and precise. Lean, Six Sigma, those technologies we have customers asking for on a regular basis during our interview prep. How can you help us design and manage this project better from the beginning? So what that means to you as a quick little translation is that means how can you get involved in the program sooner? How can you have relationships with your trade partners sooner so you can start delivering on some of these lean principles in the future? Design, build, delivery is increasing, as well as AEC and tech investment. You're going to see that definitely not go away, because that kind of leads into some of our poll questions. So in your poll question, you all answered it pretty quickly and pretty accurate. Advanced industries is expected to completely take off, and you all understand why. With everyone now working from home, everything's increased as far as your technology, as far as your Zoom, as far as any type of data that needs to happen and transfer. So those data centers, the microprocessors, and anything that's necessary to put these things together are absolutely increasing in masses. Of course, with COVID, you can see the biotech and pharma. Folks are starting to look at what we need to do to increase productivity and how do we prepare better for the future. One of those markets that did take a hit for us was healthcare. Healthcare slowed quite a bit. Why? Because they're slammed and extremely busy with dealing with this pandemic, which means anything that we do see coming in the future is going to lead more into the lines of redevelopment, reproving, cleaning up more of these areas versus these big bed buyouts and build outs of these new wings. Commercial development, again, we're going to see that continue to grow. That hasn't gone away. But the way that people are designing for the future is what our concern is. How much of that's going to change if people are spending more time working from home? What are we designing on the commercial development side of things? And as you can all imagine, aviation and hospitality are absolutely suffering. We do expect them both to come back. Aviation was on chart at the beginning of this year to do $20 trillion over the next 10 years because of the demand in travel. We can go on and on with all of the aviation airport projects around the country that are still continuing. They've all been funded, but the continued growth or the funding for any additional work has all been put on hold. As well as hospitality, whether we're doing any of the Marriotts, any of the hotels, any of the convention centers, any of those things that entertain that type of revenue, we expect to just pretty much dry up and just not really be much of a solvent business for a while. And my 15-year-old just got home. Advanced industries. Again, we touched on it slightly, but here are some of the specifics that we'd be looking at. Is the country definitely reinvesting? National security concerns, right? Falling behind China, Japan, Taiwan, India, all of these things are big concerns. And so we are expecting a huge reinvestment in that to happen here in the country. Artificial intelligence, 5G, all of these things are things that we're trying to pay attention to. And if you look at the marketplace and where these are happening, you got to think these data centers are going up in locations like Arizona, Oregon, Utah, mostly in those areas where, of course, you're away from seismic zones and a few other things in that arena. But the one thing I will say about the AI work, and that's, again, extremely important to this group, it is very difficult work because they require a few things. An extremely stringent safety program. If there's nothing else you all need to pay attention to moving into 2021 with any business, it's safety. But if you're looking at doing work in AI, it's huge. The chemicals, the electrical, all the things out there, you're talking about shutting down billions of dollars of work in any of these facilities in an instant. So, and the chemicals that are in these locations are also quite toxic. So you are going to be required to be strong in safety, and you are absolutely going to grow in your ability to have a strong safety program. Your scheduling is going to be challenged because these are very fast moving, fast paced projects. We would almost put them into some of them as special projects categories. And a lot of my superintendents and project managers might think small projects are great for small businesses, but what we learn is we have to bring you in extremely fast. Your costs are usually right up front for purchasing material, purchasing supplies, trying to get in and trying to get out. It's very difficult with schedules. So yes, there's a lot of work in this industry, but if you're looking at fast turn and burn projects, think about the size of your business and your ability to keep up on that level, because there are a lot of long burning projects in this AI industry that I think are better suited for small business. we can talk on that at another level. We went over the AI. The industrial outlook, I'm not sure how much time I have, so I don't want to take too much, is we do need to look at what's going on with our manufacturing. As we saw, manufacturing was a big issue the past years. It's definitely come back. We're seeing a lot of things going on because of the trade wars. We are expecting that the industrial market will pick up in certain areas. But again, a lot of these outlooks were all dependent upon what was going on with the presidency. And again, not to try to pick political sides on anything, but the way that the construction industry looked at it two ways. An administration under Trump was going to be what they thought was an administration to continue to move forward with the industrial, of course, the advanced AI work, and on down the line. We weren't sure how much was going to go into the area of redevelopment, civil projects, and on that line. Now we do know with this administration, those things are going to push forward, but there is also now risk in what's going on with the market. Because when we have this administration changed, of course, we all know the market leans in a different direction. So we're going to start and just watch and try to see what happens and play out. But we're putting our books in both areas of making sure we're ready for a large amount of civil work, but keeping our eyes and industry open for that industrial outlook that's going to continue to grow. Mission critical work, again, is in those areas that we talked about before. We're expecting to see an astronomical surge in that area, close to $31.7 billion over the next few years. Again, I don't know if this is an area where a lot of the people are on this call right now are paying attention to. But again, this strategy behind a lot of this work is being able to be out on the jobs, repetitive, safe, quick, and it is a lot of understanding industrial and tooling. But again, these are things that when you're ready to talk on these levels to firms doing this work, get in and talk about your safety program and how they can help you grow, because all of these customers in this arena are definitely looking at increased participation from small businesses. Healthcare outlook, again, we kind of slightly walked into it. Here's a little bit of chart that we walked over. We see that 2020, we know we hit that little dip, but we do expect our healthcare to start to grow. As soon as they start to rehab, or as soon as they figure out how to the rest of the acquisitions to finish taking place. There's a lot of mergers happening in the hospital arena. But like I said earlier, we do expect to do a lot of rehabbing facilities and trying to basically make their overall internal system just a stronger system. But again, with COVID, a lot of this stuff is going to be on delay. Federal work, we do expect to have a lot of funds put into, whether that's going to be military bases, whether that's going to be hospitals, whether that's going to be doing a lot of historic restorations or some of the things that we've been involved in. Those are some areas that I will expect J.E. Dunn will jump in with both feet. And on the next slide, I'll get into some things that we are chasing locally that we definitely are going to be looking for a lot of participation. Of course, you all know the federal work has goals and requirements pretty much throughout, but the work and the uptick in the work that we're expecting should be pretty strong over the next couple of years. Last two slides, and I just wanted to do a quick touch on this because I didn't want to talk on this national view of hope that we have, because there's a lot of positive things happening. We're not worried about any drop off at all. In your market, I know J.E. Dunn specifically has the Pueblo Cancer Center out there at the Parkview Hospital. We're going to see some opportunities to chase work on that in about 2 to 3 months. I will be reaching out to Danny and Mikasa and trying to make sure we're fully coordinated so you all know those opportunities. Like I said earlier, we have a lot of federal work already in the books and a lot more coming. But with COVID and travel and how we do outreach events of that sort, I'm going to need a few more months to put all these things together to make sure we get that information out to you all so you can have advance notice of these bid opportunities, where these projects are, and who these project managers are, so we can start building those relationships now before they actually go out to bid. And the best way for you to do that is to get into our SMS system and pre-qualify. Yes, everybody has a pre-qualification system, But the ways ours works is if you want to be notified of an opportunity to bid, we need to see you internally. I wish we can go out to a database and grab names and emails from the folks that are on this call that provide me with all your wonderful contacts, but that only gets you into the door to sign up. Once you do that, I can specifically make sure you're being notified of all these wonderful opportunities. I think we're sitting in the realm of close to $560 million of opportunities and work just in Colorado this year. So with all of that said, I'm sure there's going to be plenty of questions. That is not one of our Oregon endangered owls, by the way. I just wanted to make sure you all know I am making sure we're preserving our wildlife. But that's all I have.
Good job.
Okay,
Mel.
Mel, thank you very much. Excellent presentation breaking down the different verticals or the different areas within the industry. And that is super valuable information. And you even made the PowerPoint work in slideshow mode, which I have not achieved that yet. So I have that to look forward to aspire to, you know, a goal for 2021. Francis, do we want to take questions now or wait till the end on the economic presentation?
You know, Michael, I think we could actually do both. If you want to take, you know, some questions now, I know there were some questions in the chat, so you want to keep an eye on that. And then we can kind of get going with Katrina and with Nick here shortly.
Okay, it looks like Tara wanted to know when you register in J.E. Dunn's pre-qual system, is that nationwide or say just for Colorado?
It's nationwide. We can actually see you wherever you are. So it goes into our national registry and I can look you up on what you qualify for in Denver or what you might qualify for a project for us, Tara, in Texas. So I know Tara's got roofing and all kind of stuff going on all over the place, right?
Excellent. I'm just going to add a couple of comments, Francis, at this point off of Mel's excellent presentation. In Colorado, we have had a long run of in-migration into the state, net in-migration. So more people moving in than moving out. It's a desirable state. An average of about 50,000 people a year. And many of those people are 25 to 34 years old, which is a very highly sought after demographic by companies. So in addition to those, and in fact, in the last 2 decades, Colorado's population has grown by 1.5 million people. And even in the pandemic, the state demographer estimates that we'll be at the 30,000 range for net in-migration. And then after 2 years, we'll go back up to that 50,000 plus net in-migration. So people continue to move here, especially in an employable age. And we are behind on housing. If we didn't have a single additional person move in, right now we're about 50,000 homes short of demand in Colorado. So residential is having a banner year and it will continue to have banner years the next 2 years in Colorado. Now, we have the fortune of that growth. Not every state does. So the residential side, both single family residential, townhomes, condos, and multifamily is going to be very strong. And so that is one piece of the outlook, not to diminish industrial or commercial or all the other areas that Mel talked about, which is what I think we many of us want to focus on. The other thing out of Chris's presentation is that the state is working on a small business, emerging business, and minority business program. It's going to take a couple years, but the disparity study is done and that's being presented to the legislature. And finally, with what's going on in the political arena, there probably will be more regulation. So that means you need to have your safety, as Mel talked about, your safety program up to speed, your environmental programs, your stormwater, COVID compliance, all of that. And your trade associations and consultants can help you with that. So that's a little bit all folded into the outlook because you're going to be able to have to know how to do those things. And there's some very strong market sectors. So the outlook is very strong for Colorado, better than the nation as a whole. And I agree with all the points that Mel made. So you asked me as the as the moderator to make a couple of comments, and that's what I would add in for color in Colorado. And with that, we can answer more questions at the end, but we're very excited to talk about what may be the #1 issue in Colorado the next few years, which is workforce. Because with all those people moving in and all the construction taking place, while we have the baby boomers retiring, guess what? We have a workforce shortage. And we have two of the state's leading experts here in workforce, both Katrina Wirt with Work Now and Nick Breton with Master's Apprentice Program. And I think we are going to go to Katrina first. So I want to turn over the time to her, and she's going to give a highlight of Work Now, and I may ask her a couple questions if the audience doesn't beat me to that. So Katrina, I'd like to turn it to you.
Thank you, Michael. And if you need to stand up and stretch, please feel free, everyone, to take a quick stretch break. Francis, if you could stop sharing your screen, I'll pop my slides up. And I look forward to sharing with everyone briefly a little bit about the resources of the Work Now partnership. And we're so pleased that both the Associated General Contractors and Master's Apprentice are partners in this work. We've spent a lot of time tonight sharing with you resources that can help your business. And as you know, workforce is a very important part of that, whether it's bringing on new hires or upskilling and training the employees that you already have. And so what I want to very quickly highlight for you this evening, let's see, is who this partnership is and what we do and what resources you can access as an employer, as a contractor. This coalition is here to support both small and large firms. We are a coalition of about 20 different organizations, and you'll see them in just a minute, that have come together to really streamline our services and support both talent development as well as connections to community members on local projects and long-term career pathways. You'll hear me talk in just a few minutes about resources that we have that support not only people preparing for work in this industry, but also employees that are already at your companies and looking to upgrade or access resources that will help them stabilize and be positive employees for you. And employers benefit, we found, from this coordinated network. We've been around since early 2018 now, and some of those organizations that we're a part of have been practicing in employment and training and small business development for years. But employers benefit from that kind of coordination, that network where we're bringing together training and resource supports, as well as individuals that see workforce development from a variety of different perspectives. So Luis, my apologies in advance. I don't at all. I'll be happy to go over with you if you want to follow up individually specific services. I don't expect us all to capture all of this in the few minutes that we have together, but I really wanted very quickly for you to see the scale of the partners involved. We have individuals that really come to the table with education and training services that help prepare people that are looking for work in construction, both craft, office, and professional service training opportunities, as well as technical upgrades. And you can see the logos of some of those organizations that deliver these services. It's not only pre-apprenticeship boot camps and basic skills classes, but also trade associations and programs, post-secondary schools that offer. You've heard both Michael and Mel talk a little bit this evening about the importance of a strong safety program. And several of the trade associations here offer the kinds of training and support that can help either you as the business owner, if you're a sole proprietor, or your employees build those skills if you feel that that's an area that your business would like to expand in, and the resources of Work Now can help pay for that for you. We also, as I mentioned, engage in family supportive services and direct financial coaching and stability services. We very much believe in this coalition that workers and families come together as a whole person. And we believe that's a part of whole success, of really helping employees be supported so that, again, they can show up and be productive for you or quickly address any kind of issue. So in this collaboration, you'll see not only traditional support resources like boots and tools, but also the upskilling that I mentioned, gas cards, but also more non-traditional resources like counseling, support managing addiction, support paying for childcare. I noticed in the chat, a few of you were interested in starting your own business, and we can help pay to connect you to some of those consultants or coaches that have also been mentioned. So you can take advantage of some of those services if you're concerned about that. I'll really quickly highlight, specific contractor services from an employer perspective, since so many of us are employers here this evening, and then really highlight the specific experiences that new hires or incumbent workers can benefit from before turning it over to the wonderful team at the Master's Apprentice. But essentially, as I mentioned, resources for not only new hires, if you're looking to hire new talent, we can connect you to multiple partners, some of whom are on this call tonight, to fill those positions for you. But in addition, we can supplement resources and supports for them, as well as your existing workers. So recruitment resources. And some of you have heard tonight about a variety of different funding supports for contractors and employers that specifically address either workforce development or training. And we have specialists that can help connect you to public on-the-job training, salary reimbursements that come more from city programs, such as the City of Denver Workforce Investment and Opportunity Act, or Adams County is another program that does quite a bit of that. And there's also state training dollars to, again, help supplement the cost for you as a business. If you're in a time where you feel your business needs to stay competitive, you need to learn new skills, but you're concerned about the dollars to be able to pay for that, we'd encourage you to reach out. There are multiple programs that can help with that. It's called the Skills Advanced Training Grant, and we'd be happy to help you with your application. I've dealt with a lot of paperwork in my life, and I have to say that particular grant is the easiest one for a business to apply to. And then really quickly, we'll just highlight some of the job seeker or incumbent worker services. Again, we encourage you to think of this coalition of organizations as a resource for you, not only in your hiring, but also in your retention. So, services to support that successful retention we talked about, we've seen everything from apprentices that needed winter work gear recently. They were not able to, and this was on the Denver Great Hall project, just needed warm weather gear, tools, gas cards to help them get to work after a car broke down, navigators, coaching, as well as the upgrade training that I mentioned. And again, for small businesses, we really encourage you. We know time is precious. We know it's hard to take the time sometime to invest in your own training, but the pursuit of some of the upcoming work that Mel and Michael talked about, if you find a window to do it, there are resources to help pay for you as well as the owner or employees of your company to do some of that upgrade that will help build and expand your capacity as a business. And then we also, for those of you that support ongoing earn and learn opportunities, we can support apprenticeship tuition or book costs, depending on the structure of the program and how you work. And before we transition over to one specific program that is a part of this coalition that it can help support with your workforce hiring needs, I do want to just highlight really briefly a little bit of the impact of this partnership. As I said, we've been around since 2018 with these organizations. And a big piece of our work has really been not only expanding the pipeline, but really looking specifically at what are some of the barriers that women and people of color may face to finding and keeping good jobs in the industry. So what can we do to support that? And that's why you hear me talk a lot about upfront resources that might address any challenges someone might have, first of all, with learning about a job and then finding the job. But then we do a lot of ongoing work around peer mentoring and peer networking. 21% of our nearly 2,000 members are women. 61% are people of color in 2020. Overall, or cumulative from the very beginning, it's closer to 65%. And we've helped connect over 800 individuals to positions since we started in the spring of 2018 with a nearly 70% employment rate. But the number I'm most proud of is that retention rate. And really, we know there's a cost to a business when you lose a worker. And, we are doing everything we can to help improve the retention and the support of workers in this industry, because we recognize that's a key part to your success. And we recognize that that is a key part of the industry growth as well. I do want to keep my resource comments brief, because I want to give Nick ample time to talk about the excellent work of their program. Also, just want to add in the chat, I did put my comments there. Also, Elena Jimenez coordinates the business services at Work Now. So if any of you are interested in doing some specific follow-up, learning a little bit more, our contact information is there. And we'll be happy to answer any questions throughout the presentation. At this time, I want to transition over to a strong, wonderful organization, the Master's Apprentice.
All right. Well, thanks, Katrina. Appreciate those kind words and everything you guys do. And for those on this Zoom call tonight, definitely check out Work Now and what they have to offer. There's a lot of great services that you can take advantage of. So to talk a little bit about the Master's Apprentice, what do we do? We are like I said in the beginning, a pre-apprenticeship construction training program for youth. Our student ranges is 18 to 40. So that's our specific target rate age-wise. So we hope to provide vetted entry-level candidates who are eager to work in the trades. As Director of Development, I work a lot with our pre-existing corporate partners, and one of the things I hear all the time, which I'm sure some of you would echo, is I need people who will show up on time, not late, and be ready to work and ready to go. Those are the kind of individuals that we really strive to kick out of our program, not to kick out, to advance through our program. So what do we do? So we have a 7-week training program, and we run 5 of those throughout the year, Monday through Friday, 8 a.m. to 3 p.m. It's a free program to our students. They actually receive a weekly stipend of $100 a week to attend the program. And then once they graduate, they get a $250 tool scholarship upon placement. This really helps, it's not a whole lot of extra support for students, but it kind of helps give a little carrot at the end, something for them to strive for as they go through the program. So I want to talk a little bit about just what we do, and then we can talk about how to connect to our program. So our students, we take them through 7 different areas of study. So we talk about, we have a financial literacy class, a construction math class. We take them through career prep, where they learn resume writing, interview skills, how to research companies, and they really start to understand what sort of trade they want to go into, which really helps once they start looking for jobs. We have a work ethics class, teaches them, how to be the best employee that they can be. We have a wood shop class where they get to use power tools and work on small projects, so they kind of understand processes of things, tool safety. We go over that a whole lot. We actually just finished our tool safety component this week. We just started a class on Monday, a brand new class for 2021. We got 16 new students who are eager to go. So it's been a fun week so far. We also do conflict management. We give them an OSHA 10 training certification at the end. And then in the afternoons, we set that aside for our woodshop class, but also industry tours and exposure. So that's really where they get that exposure into the different trade components that they might want to go into for their next career. So we focus training on apprenticeship trades of carpentry, electrical, plumbing and pipe fitting, HVAC, masonry, and welding. And for those of you, who may not think you're on that list, don't stop listening. We're always open to, companies connecting to us. We've had, roofing companies, all kinds of different trades that we've gotten students placed in, even though it may not be a main focus in our training. Speaking of our main focus, so really what we see as our main focus is developing the individual to help them become the best employee that they can be. As I mentioned earlier, as an employer, you're looking for someone who's, knows how to show up on time and has their things together so that they can work for you and do the job that you're going to train them to do. So that's how we train our students. They have to, each of our students has to have passed the class with an 80% or above. They have to achieve a 90% attendance for the 30 days. We hold them very accountable to that. It's only 30 days that they're with us, and we have a 3 strikes and you're out policy. So we really toe the line and making sure that they realize that we're serious about, you got to be there on time, because if you want to get a job after this program and you want to keep it, you got to figure that out, how to maintain that timeliness. Students who don't pass the requirements, we ask them to maybe take some time and mature a little bit and come back to us. Our doors are always open for former students. And the reason we do this, we want to do our due diligence to provide the best candidates that we possibly can for our contracting partners. Master's Apprentice graduates are definitely a sought after commodity. We have several current construction partners who look for and ask for Master's Apprentice graduates to help their open positions. So there's a lot of great work. I think there's a lot of, I could tell numerous stories of the impact that not only the training has had on our students, but also just connecting to you all in the industry and getting that stable and solid career that really helps support their families and gives them a new opportunity in life. So it's a great opportunity, and I think Michael might have a question for me.
Yes, I do. I didn't to interrupt. I was actually listening very carefully to your very good information. And before I ask that question, I do want to say that both Work Now and Master's Apprentice are award-winning programs. But Nick, I saw Master's Apprentice recently win an award. I don't know if you have a copy of that. I was thinking you should hold that up for everyone to see.
I don't have a copy in my hands, but we were recognized and won the National Apprenticeship Award this year for outstanding program. So we were thrilled. There were a lot of great candidates in that pool, and we were thrilled to win that award. It was a huge honor for us. Thanks for
Nick, congratulations for that. And I certainly was impressed with that. And you just described a 7-week program that readies someone to go to work and they're motivated to go to work. How specifically do I connect with you if I want to hire those graduates? Do I drive to your office location? Do I fill out a form online? Do I call Nick on his cell phone? What do I do?
Yeah, great question. There's lots of ways to connect, and got several call to actions here on my list. So one of those is, so we are a 501c3 nonprofit, as many organizations are here on the panel. So we're always looking companies to help sponsor students. So if you're interested in sponsorships, we do have corporate sponsor levels. So if you're interested in that, definitely reach out to me. Like I said, our program is, we make sure that it's free to our students and that they get all of the access to all of the great components that we offer for free. And as well, they get paid to attend the program. You can also get involved with mock interviews. So mock interviews is the way we do our kind of corporate events. So mock interviews really, it helps in 2 ways. One, it helps the student learn and grow in their interviewing skills. But 2, it also helps companies see what the talent pool is. So mock interviews, we kind of set them up like speed dating. Companies get 15 minutes to sit down across from a student, have a one-on-one face-to-face interview. One of the things I hadn't mentioned yet, we are doing live in-person classes. So there's options for all these things to be virtual if that's what a company wants to do, but there's also the option still to come in person, which we love. So yeah, mock interviews is a really good way to get involved. Presentations or tours. One of the ways that our students really start to understand what trades they want to go into is by, companies like yourselves coming down or doing a virtual presentation and talking about the trade that you're involved in, and then as well what your company has to offer and really, spark some interest in our students. We see all the time someone comes in wanting to do one thing, and then they hear a great presentation from a company, and they're like, "Oh my gosh, no! Now I want to be, a welder instead of an electrician, or whatever the case may be." So there's lots of opportunities for that. Help with recruitment. I saw some organizations out there who work with the similar populations that we do. We work a lot with formerly incarcerated individuals, helping them get training and job placements. So if you are one of those organizations, definitely reach out, and we can help collaborate with some recruitment efforts. And just come down and check us out. I'd love to, as people feel safe given COVID restrictions, we do follow all the proper COVID protocols, but come down and see what we got going on. See if it's something that you would want to get involved in and become active in. There are lots of ways to engage with the program. One of the things that I didn't talk about was that all of our classes are led by volunteer coaches. So that's also another opportunity for those of you, if you have time, or friends who are maybe retired and just looking for something to do. We're always looking for volunteers to come down and help teach our coaches and teach our students. So we'd love to, if you want to reach out to me, I put my number in the chat, but I'm sure you can get access to my contact info after this meeting, and would love to chat with you and just see what that could look like.
You can also do what I do and follow Master's Apprentice on Instagram. They have good information coming over constantly. So that's where I get some of my info. Nick, I'm sure you probably do that yourself, right? So
we share some burden with that, but yeah, we like to be engaged with social media, definitely.
Okay, and just one quick question for Katrina, then the same thing. If somebody wants more training for an existing employee, or they want to access some of the other training inviters, what's the specific way they can get involved with you?
Absolutely. You can find us on our website, which Lenny put into the chat, work-now.org. And there's a interest form there that employers can fill out, or members. The other way, both Lenny and I put in our contact information. You can feel free to reach out to Lenny directly, and she can give you an overview of what those free upskilling options are with some of the different trade association and training partners that you heard us talk about. And, we'd be happy to help you connect with those resources.
All right, we should have a virtual round of applause for Nick and Katrina. They deliver blockbuster services. They gave a great presentation, so thank you very much. And with that, I think we've got a third and final audience poll, which I love these. So hopefully I'm correct there. And if
you are, Michael, so I am just getting that loaded right now, and it has begun. So you'll have 2 minutes, and again, your answers are anonymous, so no need to worry about anything there. But yeah, please help us help you.
So a couple closing remarks while that poll is going on. And I think I want to start by making the case that of all the things we talked about, workforce, at least in Colorado, will be the single largest issue that you need to tackle to have a successful business going forward. Right now, we are at 173,000 construction employees in the state of Colorado. And because of the growth that I described, we will need to get to 220,000 construction employees by 2027. And at the same time, we're going to have a large amount of retirements of the baby boomers. So if you add that all in, we're going to need to bring on another 75,000 construction employees in the next 6 years. And so you will not be able to just say, hey, I got a job from Mel, and now I need to add 3 electricians or plumbers or carpenters with 10 years experience. You are not going to find them. And if you do get one of those, you're going to have to pay a lot of money to hire them away from someone else. So what you're going to have to learn how to do is to bring on people from programs like Nick's and then have an on-the-job training program, either formal apprenticeship or on the job in your company, and figure out how to give them ongoing training along the way. One of the secrets is if you hire from a program like NICS or AGC's Construction Education Foundation has another version of that pre-apprenticeship. It's only a 4-week program. They don't learn nearly as much as in the Master's Apprentice, but they come through in a quicker format. That's think of work now as like a wheel, and Nick's program is like a spoke. Our program is like a spoke. When you hire someone through there, then they're attached to all of the ongoing services that Work Now and Katrina and her team provide. That's the best deal that you can get, because you'll have the ongoing coaching and training for those employees along the way. And Katrina will tell you about grants and other programs that you can access along the way. And it looks like, Francis, we have some results. 75% plan on hiring, goes along with the workforce presentation we just had. And 88% are interested in ways to grow or retain business. So with that, very interesting. Basically 3 out of 4 are going to be hiring, and that goes along with that growth from 173,000 employees to 220,000. So you have to make that part of your business plan. The second thing, Mel really outlined a path to getting more work and more quality work, and that is figure out their pre-qualification process, and they need you to be part of their team with your employees. So don't be afraid to approach the J.E. Dunns of the construction industry and say, how do I get involved in your pre-qualification process? If you're a smaller company, ask them, do they have a small projects division where you can get something started on something that's a quicker job and can be the size that you can handle. And then over the years, you can work up the system with a JE Dunn and do larger projects as you grow your cash flow and you grow your number of employees. So ask about a small projects division, and don't be afraid to ask them about their pre-qualification process. They really do need you to be successful. And he told you how much work they have and some of the other general contractors have in this market. And then Chris really talked about the legislative environment. That is important for you to know, because the legislation coming down for employment law, human resource, safety, environmental, and CDPHE and health concerns, you have to have a resource to figure out how to meet those things. And that's the purpose of groups like and organizations like MICASA, Hispanic Contractors of Colorado, AGC. We are there to help you. And Katrina knows a lot about that with Work Now as well, and she can make references. So if you do those things, you're going to be well on your way to success in 2021. And Francis, and also Denise, it is 6:58 and we're supposed to be done at 7 o'clock. So I want to turn it over in time and at least be on time, if not on budget. So there you go.
Yeah, thank you so much, Michael. By my clock, it's actually 7 p.m. So this now concludes our webinar. I hope everybody got a lot of benefit out of the data. There was a lot of information that was shared. If any of you have any questions, want to connect with anybody that spoke on tonight's panel, please let myself, Danny, or Denise know, and we will get you in contact with who you need. But thank you so much, everybody, for participating. Thank you to our speakers. Thank you to everyone for sharing your great knowledge, and good luck in 2021, everybody. Thank you.
Let's make it happen. Let's go for it. 2021, guys. Let's do
Go
it.
get it.
Yes.
Do it. See you, everybody.
And Luis, thank you for your great interpreting tonight. We really appreciate it.
Yes, thank you.
Thanks, Luis.
Good job. Thanks.
Everybody have a great
All
night.
right.
Thank you, Mil
Take care.
gracias, Luis.
Thank
Thanks.
you. No touches.
Good night.